Welcome to the 8th and final lecture of this series of disability, mental conditions and syndromes, and human rights. We have looked at the different forms of disabilities and how different forms of disabilities require different types of actions in society to create inclusion. But the most excluded of excluded are those living with mental conditions and syndromes. We have gone through what it means to live with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. We have met some of them and had an opportunity to talk to them. As you can understand, there are ethical issues around this issue. We need to make sure that they really want to participate in the sessions. And for some of them, they get so excited about participating that it generates almost to the point of them having physical issues because of the excitement about participating at these sessions. I understand from all participants, you would love to have at every session somebody participating, and we will always strive to have these participation. Today, we're going to have the participation of Majo from Panama and her mother, Mireya. When we have gone through the different issues in the different sessions, in the past session, we went through the issues of human rights. And that gives you a lot of arguments when you enter the webpage of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and read the convention. You can even read what the committees relating to the rights of children or rights of persons with disabilities have written about your country and what they need to do to improve their public policies in relation to persons living with different forms of disabilities. Today, we're going to look at some ethical issues, and you will have also a personal direct encounter with Mireya and her daughter, Majo, and what it means as a person living with Down syndrome to be able to go to university and meet other students, and but also what does it mean for a mother who decided to give birth to her child, and how did she tackle this issue? And one of the ethical dilemmas that we face is that in the Western world, persons with Down syndrome are on the way to being eradicated because during gestation, when it's discovered that they might have, that the baby might have Down syndrome, they are being aborted. And without entering issues of faith, religion, or whatever, it is still an ethical issue for all of us. Why are some cleansed in that way? Why do we automatically do so? Because persons with Down syndrome have so much to contribute and they have such special qualities. And that's why today's interview is meant to give you an insight around the ethical issues surrounding living with a condition such as Down syndrome and the choices being made in our society. Now, in the second and third of the lectures, we went through different types of conditions. And then on the fourth, we started looking at the type of development activities that you would like to be involved in promoting when engaging with persons living with conditions and syndromes. You want a lot of physical activity, which means if you don't know what to do, start with showing love, empathy, and start thinking about something that you can do in terms of physical activities. So physical activity, number one. The second is contributing to cognitive development. Wherever they are, you want, after having been with you, that they have advanced 1 millimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 inch, 1 yard, 1 meter, whatever in their development. When it comes to memory, when it comes to language, when it comes to learning words, but at the same time, never be patronizing or paternalistic. Be always ready to what they have to transmit you, because they always have something to transmit that you need. So be open to what you would like to learn. Now, the third area, as we went through, is the issue of showing empathy. And obviously, if you have a friend that lives with a condition or syndrome, that means you are already showing empathy. So you are on the right track. The fourth area is psychosocial contact. Don't make them only dependent on you and on the contact and friendship with you. Seek others that also can be friends to them. They have the right to have friends. They live surrounded by a mother or a father, siblings, but very few others. Be part of being a friend of those that live with conditions and syndromes. Support the family, fifth area, very important. See how you can be of help. Be attentive. And six, whatever spiritual expression they have, respect it. Never look down on it, accept it, whatever their background. So those principles are very important principles for development. And being involved with nature and with animals is very important. We learn much quicker, much better. And also animals don't discriminate against them. We also then went through what it means to achieve inclusion in what is the labor market. Not easy, above all because of typical persons. Typical persons need to learn what you are learning here, how to interact, how to be a good friend, how to relate with persons that live with conditions and syndromes. So please consider what can you do in your workplace to convert your workplace into an inclusive workplace. And then we went through, as I mentioned, human rights, and today we have reached the final lecture where I want you to reflect on various ethical issues that relate to persons living with conditions and syndromes. They have something to contribute in our societies, and we can't just be excluding them. We can't make them disappear. We have a real fundamental responsibility to protect them. Now, in our efforts to involve ourselves with persons living with conditions and syndromes, remember that sometimes it's, as I mentioned at the start, a major issue. They get so excited when finally finding somebody that cares about them, that is interested in them. Fernando, whom you met some time back, he got so excited some time back when we were going to start preparing for Christmas. And we wanted him to give the opening speech, welcoming everybody to the Christmas celebration that we want to have online at the end of 2020, COVID year. We have to do celebrations online. And he was very, very happy, but got so excited that he then even started vomiting and having difficulties sleeping because of the excitement. We had to weigh, well, do we continue with the plans or not? After 2-3 days, the mother came back and said, let's go ahead with it. He's excited. He wants to do it. But I want you to be aware that sometimes it is very, very, I wouldn't say traumatic, but it is something that generates so much excitement. Brian starts getting completely restless 2 months before his birthday. And it's an absolute total restlessness. And you can't advance the birthday and say, we're going to celebrate it today so that we can get over and done with the birthday. No, he knows when his birthday is. So already in August, he starts having all these difficulties with behavior because he's approaching October when it's his birthday. So again, very, very difficult sometimes to manage the behavior issues, but you need to understand that those behavior issues have to do with the lack of breaks. And, you know, it is like for you, when something extraordinary happens, you have difficulties controlling your happiness. Well, the same for them. But for them, even you being a friend is already something extraordinary, fantastic. We have other examples. Guille, or Guillermo is his full name. He gets sometimes so excited that he actually starts hitting out. And that hitting out is part of his lack of self-control when he gets too excited. So what is important is how you react to that and how you act when encountering this type of situation. With Andrea, when she gets very excited, then we have to take her from behind and take her arms like this around. It's a restraining, but it's not a punishment. It's just to hold her and move her in a caring way, and that helps calm her down. Sometimes you might even have to jump to the floor with her and hold her carefully until she calms down. You can try to sound some type of music or whatever, singing a little song for her, whatever. She's 40 years old, but she gets very, very excited at certain things. And sometimes you need to control, because when she loses the control, she starts running and she starts hitting at others. And they don't know how to act and react to Andrea. Again, now I'm talking about more advanced actions that require good guidance and good practice. But I'm hinting at it because when doing ethical considerations, one of the traumatic issues that I have met constantly is that sometimes in the medical profession, they give them treatment so that they will not have those tops that come very occasionally. But when you cut out those tops with medication, then development throughout becomes much more difficult, becomes inhibited. Try that type of medication yourself. Well, I won't recommend that you do it, but if you were to try such medication, and then try to write a book, try to write something, try to create music, try to maintain a reasonable dialogue, and you will find it is really very difficult. the same for them. How can they develop? So the more we can create a world where typical persons can learn how to manage those occasional tops, then we will not need so much sedation and treatment, the over-medicalization that we see in the Western world. Too much of it. We don't want, like we see in some countries of the South, that they be chained. They are kept chained, locked in a room, hidden away, because sometimes they have those peaks. We want to take off those peaks by being close to them, know how to embrace them, know how to calm them down, but not either by chaining them or by giving them sedation treatment that makes it difficult for them to develop as a person. So with these introductory words, I would like, because of some technical difficulties we have had, you will now hear Mireia and her daughter Majo, and you will see how alive they are. And you will see that mother-daughter relationship. And think ethically. How would you act if your wife or if you yourself become pregnant with a baby that lives with Down syndrome? Think what the choices were for Mireia and how she has acted with her daughter, and look what her daughter contributes. Thank you for participating in this course. Over to Mireia and Majo. Thank you so much.
I am learning English, but today Spanish.
Dale. Sobre tu universidad, que estás estudiando.
Yo estoy estudiando una licenciatura en comunicación audiovisual con énfasis en producción de radio y televisión.
Will you translate or do you want me to do it?
It's better you do it because my connection is bad.
Okay. She's studying in the university, a communications major with emphasis in production of radio and TV. Sí.
Yo sé que en la universidad no tengo adecuaciones, pero yo me siento súper satisfecha y súper feliz.
She has no curriculum help in the university, which makes it hard for her to go along with the rest of the class, but she makes a big effort, and she knows she's going to go through it, and she's doing very well.
Siento que estoy aprendiendo y estudiando mucho porque siempre me interesó el backstage y quiero ser productora.
I try very hard. I study a lot. I do all my best because I've always dreamed of being backstage, and I love to be a producer.
Me encanta la inclusión que están haciendo en la universidad.
And I love that I have the opportunity to be in the university and with inclusion. ¿Qué son los derechos de las personas con discapacidad?
Que somos iguales a los demás.
We're the same as others.
Que no estamos enfermos.
We're
somos
not
personas.
sick. We're people.
Aunque somos diferentes, tenemos de que aprendemos.
Even though we're different, we learn. We can learn.
Para nosotros no nos importa lo que piensen de nosotros porque tenemos mucha fuerza y creemos en nosotros mismos.
We don't care what people think about us because we're very strong and we believe in ourselves.
Y podemos ser como ustedes, como independientes y personas muy admirables.
We can be like you. We can be independent, and we can be people that other people can admire.
Más de ser como que alcanzar casi lo mismo.
we can reach for the same things that you can reach for. Okay, Panama has moved along on the wording to say somehow they have a secretary for discapacity, and they've done some. There's laws that include job opportunities, school opportunities, but the implementation, the reality is that it's really hard. It's still not, because the conscience is still as, you know, these people need to be, people feel sorry for them, or feel that if they come in their job space or their schools, they're not equal. So it's going to be hard, and it's getting to move that way of thinking makes it hard to make the law available for real, because they have to do something because the law says they have to, but they don't believe in it. So we still need to work on society and let them see that they are capable. They have much more abilities than disabilities. They are wonderful people, and they can do whatever they want to do. It's moving along with their inner push. It's understanding what they want, which is what we all need. We move better and we get to our goals if we're doing something we really want. And I think that's the motive, and that's what people need to understand a little more here in Panama.
Solo es cuestión de que nos den oportunidades.
It's only about giving us opportunities. That's what she says.
Wonderful. Mireya, when you became mother of Majo, how was that experience?
Okay, I didn't know when
what were they to do to her?
Okay, when Majo was born, I had no idea that she had Down syndrome until, you know, the doctors told me. My first reaction was because the father was next to me, and when we got the news, he started like tearing up. His eyes started tearing up, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know what we're gonna do, but the one thing that I'm not gonna let anybody do is look at her as if she's less or cry because of her. I think that that's not the way to look at this. We need to go and find the opportunities. So at that moment, I felt very strong. It wasn't like that all the time, but at the beginning, I felt very strong. And I looked at her and I made her a promise. I made her a promise when she was a baby, that no matter what, I wanted a happy baby. So that's what has moved me all the time. When she was little, if she walked or she didn't walk, I wasn't looking for, she needs to walk at 1 year old, or she needs to walk, you know, I was just looking for a happy baby. If she walked at 1.5 years, 2 years, fine. If she walked at 5 years, maybe she wasn't going to be so happy. So I did work on strategies, and I went to, you know, seminars, and I read a lot, and I try to stimulate, but always trying to see her happy and moving along with what made her happy. What if she wanted to reach for her, you know, doll? That was an excellent opportunity to get her to crawl, to get her to walk, to get her, because she really wanted her doll. So always using what she wanted as a standing point to move forward.
Que nos permitan.
Just let us do things.
Marvelous.
If you want, you can write it in the chat if you have something else, right? Si no, nos puede preguntar aquí.
Yes.
Y cómo en los medios.
En los medios, how is the work with la prensa? ¿Cómo te fue en el trabajo en la prensa?
En el trabajo de la prensa, estoy muy feliz de que me den una oportunidad.
I am very happy that they gave me the opportunity en la prensa. La prensa is the highest circulating newspaper in Panama, and they gave her an opportunity to have a blog in their web version of the paper.
Hablo de temas muy variados desde mi punto de vista.
I talk about a lot of different subjects viewed under my way of seeing things.
Como por ejemplo,
Like
las cosas que no sabían de mí, de mis 15 fotos, de mis mascotas, etc.
she talks about everything. She talked about her, things about you don't know about her. She talks about Down syndrome. She talks about her life. She talks about politics. She's very...
Tengo uno con mi hermana.
With her sister, I think that that's a very important part of it.
Uno con mi papá, uno con mi mamá.
Father, mother, everybody's part of the blog.
Han tenido la oportunidad de aparecer en mi blog.
Yeah, I've been in the blog. I don't like cameras that much, but she made me be being part of her blog.
Así que compartimos la felicidad.
So we share happiness. She had uno de corrupción, pero era en la prensa. En su YouTube no lo hemos subido. We haven't.
Todavía no lo hemos subido.
She went from la web. She went from la prensa to her own channel in YouTube. In her channel in YouTube, not all the subjects or different themes that she had done before are on her YouTube. They are the one about corruption is still up, but it's still up on La Prensa.
And what's your recommendation to medical students? How should they treat Majo?
Okay, I'll let her answer first and then I'll answer, okay? ¿Tú qué le dirías a los doctores de cómo te deben tratar a ti, a las personas cómo te deben tratar a ti?
Como una persona como ellos.
Like a person like you.
Como una adulta.
Like an adult.
Que tenemos sentimientos.
We have
sueños,
feelings, we have dreams.
Somos personas como ellos.
We are just people. We're people like you. And I would add to that I think that the barrier that we usually have with dealing with people with disabilities is that we try to talk to the disability. And I think that's the problem. I think Majo is Majo. Majo is not Down syndrome.
Yes.
She's a person. And when we stop looking at her eyes and her small ears and her, things that let you know that she has Down syndrome. But if you stop looking at that and try looking at Majo, the communication becomes so easy because it really does not. The moment that we think that we need to do something different because they're different, then we are going into this accepting them as different than persons. They're not. They're just people. Maybe you need to say it twice, maybe, slow, but just treat them as people. If you try to talk to somebody that has a disability, just try to connect and try to see that they're getting what you're saying, just like you would with me. Maybe with a language problem, maybe try to think, okay, if I want to speak to a French person, maybe I speak slow, but I treat them as a person. I don't talk to the disability. The disability is not who they are. They are people. They have feelings, like she said. They have all these dreams and they want to share. And the one other thing that I learned in the time, with Majo, is that they have so much to teach. If you come to them thinking that you have to teach them, then you're losing half of it. Because you're not letting them teach you, which is they have great lessons.
Somos más iguales que diferentes.
We're more equal than different. What is your recommendation to mothers that are pregnant with Down syndrome child? 90% abort, and I hope that could change. I believe there's a story I always tell Majo, and Majo now uses it in when she gives when she talks to people, and it's that a person with Down syndrome comes to teach us so much. It's a blessing to have somebody so clean, so transparent with the feelings, that it teaches us so much. And I think they change the world for good. People with Down syndrome, she woke up too early today, so she's a little sleepy.
I am sorry.
So I believe that it's a blessing, more than it being a religion or not. It's a good thing to have in your life. I wouldn't change a minute of Majo in my life for anything in the world. I'm a different person. I'm a better person. I cannot tell you the amount of times in a day that I smile because I'm with Majo, and the kind of, when I walk around and people see Majo, and Majo comes up with her insights, because they have a way of looking at people, and they get to your soul before before anything else, that I wouldn't change it. And I believe we need more people with Down syndrome with the opportunities to tell the world their point of view. In the course, okay. Is Majo the only child, that if not, we are needs overwhelming to the siblings? Okay, me están preguntando, I'm going to translate to her, que si eres hija única, y si no, ¿qué otras necesidades pueden tener los hermanos?
Okay, no soy hija única.
She has a sister, like she commented before that her sister is her best ally.
Yo tengo una hermana menor que yo.
She has a sister that's younger than her, 2 years younger.
Solo que viene el martes de su universidad.
She's studying in the United States and she's coming back home on Tuesday, so we're very happy.
Así que muy pronto la veremos aquí con nosotros.
For the siblings, it's especially Adriana. Adriana came after, Majo was already 2 years old when Adriana was born. And she came into a world where acceptance of the family, I mean, we all knew she had Down syndrome, and and one of the things that I believe it's very important is letting the siblings go through their period of, I'm not sure I want this. I'm not sure I like this. So, because we all go through that, it's a different thing.
Somos aliadas, compinches.
They're allies. They do everything together, and they have the best time ever. But Adriana went through a phase where, she did not want to deal with this sister, because this sister is not, like what I expected. And once I let her express that, it was a very important turning point for the sister, because then she came around and she also gets the best out of Majo. What you like to change in the workplaces so they accept persons with Down syndrome? ¿Qué habría que cambiar en los lugares de trabajo para que acepten a las personas con síndrome de Down?
Que nos permitan estudiar, crecer, soñar.
That they need to let us study, estudiar.
Que nos acepten.
Espérame, me dijiste tres. They let her study, let her dream, and give the opportunity.
Yes.
I believe in the workplaces, it's about making people conscious that they are capable, and giving them the opportunity. Usually in the workplaces, it's good to have like a go-to person. So if they go through a phase or they don't understand something, instead of like shelving, you know, like closing themselves into this situation, they can have somebody to talk to, and that person should have training on you know, on dealing with frustration, because sometimes their language might have shortcomings and they cannot express what they're feeling, which usually is frustration, and they need that go-to person that can help them express and go through a frustration phase, which is basically what the difficulties would be. If they could get frustrated because they don't get the instructions clear or something like that.
No necesitamos ir a escuelas especiales y tampoco un grato especial.
We don't need to go to special schools, and we don't need a special treatment. Just give us the opportunity.
Porque somos como ustedes.
Because we are like you. What would be the dream workplace for Majo? And tell us of her trips to different parts of the world and their reactions. Ok, primero, ¿qué sería un lugar ideal de trabajo para ti? Y después habla un poquito de todos los viajes que has hecho a todo alrededor del mundo.
Yo quiero un lugar donde haya mucha inclusión, no solamente personas también con mi misma discapacidad, que queremos un lugar donde respeten nuestros aprendizajes, sueños.
I want a place that has all types of people, not only about Down syndrome, but that the acceptance all over the place, about everything, about all types of people. I want a place where I get respect and they respect my dreams.
Un lugar donde podamos aportar libremente y que nos apoyen con nuestras ideas.
A place where I can share my ideas freely and that my ideas get support. That's a good place to work.
Bueno, y sobre los viajes,
About the trips.
He viajado a Cairo, Egipto, Quito, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico.
Okay, she has traveled to Egypt, to Puerto Rico,
Costa Rica,
Ecuador, Costa Rica, and all those places she's gone
Colombia,
because she's asked to go and give speeches and talk to a lot of people. ¿Y cuál es la reacción de la gente cuando te ve hablar?
Al principio no pueden creerlo y ya después no aguantan tanto que aplauden o dicen o después de que hable se van directamente donde yo y quieren fotos conmigo, me hablan.
At the beginning they're skeptical. They don't believe that I can do, a speech or something. And then as soon as they see and I start talking and I start giving my speech, they start applauding and they start getting up and screaming. And right at the end of each speech,
sí.
Everybody comes running to take pictures with me and ask me questions.
Sí, y me dicen que por favor haga un video para su hijo, hija, sobrina, mamá, papá.
And they ask her to make videos for their, son or daughter or the mother or an aunt. And she makes all these cute videos for everybody.
Y eso es lo que me hace muy alegre y muy feliz.
Okay, ¿cuál es tu canal de YouTube? What's your YouTube channel?
According to Majo channel.
According to Majo, but it's in Spanish, so it's Según Majo channel. I'll write it in the chat. ¿Y qué cuántos años tienes? How old are you?
2028.
22 years old.
Tengo 22 años.
Déjame que lea a ver si hay algo más ahí. Majo is very beautiful and well spoken. Eres muy linda y hablas muy bien.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y en nuestra práctica.
Ok, una recomendación final para todos. ¿Qué le quieres decir? One final recommendation for everybody.
Que no tengan miedo. Que
Don't be afraid.
que nos den oportunidades
give us opportunities
para conocernos como personas.
to get to know us as people, as
No,
humans.
no vean las características, no vean la discapacidad, vean a la persona.
Don't see the characteristics, don't see the disability, see the person.
Para que podamos crecer, madurar y tener un trabajo como ustedes.
Because we want to grow, we want to mature, and we want to have a job like you guys.
Y no tengan miedo de preguntar.
And don't be afraid to keep asking if you have any more questions.
Para eso no se guarden nada.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Niels, thank you so much for giving Majo a chance to speak. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for, listening to her. I'm so proud of her. What can I say? And for everybody, just treat them as human beings. They're just humans. And they have a lot to teach us. That's all. Be open to learn, because there's so much to learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are reaching the end of the course. I apologize that on this final session, we had difficulties with the connectivity, but I hope you leave this course with a better understanding of different forms of disabilities and how we as typical persons should be relating to persons that live with different types of conditions and syndromes. Very often they are not the problem. We are the problem because we don't know how to relate with them. So I hope when you now go on to your professional life, when you go into a hospital, you go into any type of work, wherever you are, and even in your free time activities, whether it is a social club or whether it is a church, wherever you go, remember to work for inclusion, to make sure that all those that live with conditions and syndromes are well treated, well received. And that's how we need to change the world, one at a time, but making life better for persons living with conditions and syndromes. There are 200 million of them, so we have a lot of work if we want to change the world for them. Thank you so much for participating in this course. And I would like to just repeat what I said at last session when we went through human rights. When you go through the Convention on the Rights of Persons Living with Disabilities, there you have a lot of arguments for what you can say in your workplace or anywhere else where you want to work for inclusion. So again, thank you so much for participating. We would love to have your feedback. Thank you to all of you who have given already feedback, how this course was helpful to you in your study and in your work, and also how you will use what you have gained in this class in future. And we will leave the screen open so that you have time to write about it. And we wish happy Thanksgiving to all those that have participated in today's session, and look forward to future courses in this portal of hdpi.org. You will find that we are developing new pages that will talk about capabilities, not disabilities. And we will also talk about international cooperation, and more courses will be coming up, and we look forward to you participating when you can. Thank you so much for today. I would like to also thank HDPI for helping La Ventana de los Cielos to organize this and have done it so beautifully. Miami-Dade College, which has promoted this among their students and managed to obtain also donations to be able to hold the costs of this course. And we look forward to future sessions. Thank you to all the donors that contributed to make this a reality. I hope you really feel that you have made a huge contribution. Thank you to all. Thank you, Phyllis, and thank you to all who have contributed. All the best.